Okay, this video is about fake 3D. And I'm going to talk about how to move to the next room. So basically, he's going to move. He's going to grab that card right there, and he collects it. Then I'm also going to grab both these weapons here, the shotgun and the blast gun, and I can press the spacebar to, well, actually right click to gain the shotgun, and then go back to the hand, press the left or the middle button to gain the other weapon. So now I have the key. I'm going to open the door, and now I'll go to the hallway here. This hallway is going to lead to the second room. See how it changed now? Okay, I could change the wall as well to a different color by making a new background, and create a new color wall or something, or a different texture wall. But you see the top and the bottom are different colors now. The ceiling's different and the floor's different. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So now I'm in the second room here, and the door's locked. Can't go in to the first room anymore. So I'm on the second level, and notice at the top that I still have my gun counts too. So I have both weapons, and also I have the same number of blasts for both weapons. So I'm going to show you how to do that too. How to move to the next room, and how to have the same weapons you had in the first room. So let me show you how I did that. Alright, so I created a new object door. So this is the second room. The first room, he's right here. Then this is the door that requires a key. So the key's right here. And I've already talked about how to create a key and stuff like that. So he collects that key. Then he's able to open this door right here. Then he walks through this core door here, and then he hits this line. This line, this new wall line is new. Once he hits this, he's going to jump to the next room. And I have an open, see, down here is completely open, and you want that to happen so that way you don't see a wall. You basically want it open so that way it shows that you're moving on to another room without a wall being there. So you want to, when you're at a distance, you have that there's a code in there which I talked about before, which is the fog, where you can only see so much, and then it's dark until you move closer, then it lightens up. But in this situation, I noticed that it still showed the wall from a distance, so I opened it up here with no wall, so that way it looks like, okay, he's moving on to the next room, because I don't want it to show a wall there, because it's like, okay, there's no second room. If there's a wall there, it's a dead end. So make sure you open it up here so it looks like you can keep going on and on forever. But there's a line here. This wall right here is actually invisible until you hit it, and then once you hit it, well, it's completely invisible, because I want him to see that the corridor goes on forever. But once he hits it, he will move to the next room, but it has to be not visible. So let me show you what I did here. So this wall is called the object hit RM, hit next RM. So when he hits that, it's going to do a move free, direction speed 0. Got that from the move tab here. The move tab, and then go to the main 1 tab here, and I went over here and grabbed the next, go to next room, and then I did a transition here. I did a blend. You can choose a variety of different things. You can do several different things here. Now this blend transition is not in with GameMaker Studios, but I'm talking about GameMaker 8.1 right now. There is code. You can do certain things for transitions for GameMaker Studios, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because I'm just going to talk about moving to the next room and how to change the colors for the ceiling and the floor. Alright, so, and then I'll talk about this in a minute, but this is Object Player 2, and he's actually going to be in the second room, because in this Object Player there's a draw event that talks about the ceiling and the floor, and that's where I changed the colors, so that's why there is another Object Player here. So once the Object Player hits this object hit next RM room door, which is right here, he's going to move to the next room. Alright, so when he moves to the next room, it's going to be a different player. So this player is called Object in Player. And the reason why I had to create a new player object is because of, like I said, I talked about, because of the floor and the ceiling. I wanted a different color. So in the draw event, basically what I did was I just duplicated. You can right click and say duplicate. So I duplicated the player object and I just renamed it, so it kept all the events and actions, so I don't have to put and waste time copying or going to that event and do a collision with wall and door and all that stuff and do the left and up and right keys. Again, I just duplicate the image so it copies everything, and then I basically changed one thing in the I changed the name of the player and the sprint. You have to do that. And then in the draw event, the background get texture for the floor is different, and the background get texture for the ceiling is different. And those textures are in the backgrounds here, and you got texture underscore ceiling 2, so that's the ceiling color. I just went into the edit background and just changed the color when I went into the, I just pretty much did the fade effect and changed the color. And then I did the same thing for the floor. That's the floor color. Change the color of that fade. So that's the first thing I did, and then one other thing I had to do, which I've already talked about before, which was the placeholder here. This placeholder had to redo the placeholder, because originally I had a placeholder for that talked about, target the object. Well, this targets object in player, and then you have the step event. It has to target the object in player. So that's the new player I made. So this placeholder is in the room 2. Now in the room 1, which is RM main, I have a placeholder as well, but that's geared toward the first player. Object player, and you have to have these correctly done, because otherwise GameMaker will throw an error up. So all this placeholder is geared toward the object player only, and then I have a second placeholder 2, which is in room 2 for the next object player, which is called object in player. And the reason why I have placeholders in here, and I've already talked about this in previous videos, is for the key, object key. So basically, this placeholder, when you start the game out, it's invisible, of course, and it surrounds the player. So when you move, the placeholder moves along the character, and this placeholder in red is actually deactivated until you collide with the key. When you collect the key, the placeholder turns green, and then that also surrounds the character when he's moving. That placeholder green, once that placeholder green touches the door that requires a key, it opens it. Now, if it's not green and if the placeholder is red, then when you touch the door, it's going to say you need a key. So that's why you need this placeholder around the character. So it's for the key to open the door. And if it's still red, the placeholder red is going to touch that door that needs the key, and it's going to say you don't have the key, so we can't open the door. So once you collect the key, the placeholder turns green. Then once that green hits the door, it says, okay, you have the key, and opens it up, and it gets rid of your key. So that's what it does. Alright, so the next step I had to do is I needed to make sure that the guns I collected from the first room moved to the second room. So you always have to have this image in here, which is what you have in your hand at all times if you run out of your weapons. And when your weapons are at 0, have no more ammo, then it jumps to the hand. And the hand with the knife is in the second room and the first room. But you notice that there's no weapon up there except for the hand. So these weapons here that you collect, that fire the weapon, you got to make sure that's set to persistent. Make sure that's checked for persistent. That means that when you go to the next room, it's going to continue. If you have collected in the first room, it will continue. You'll have it in the second room. If you don't have this checked, it's going to jump back to the hand with the knife. So make sure you have this weapon. If you collected this weapon in the first room, make sure it's checked. Persistent. Same goes for the second weapon. Object gun 2, make sure it's checked to persistent. That's that second weapon that shoots out that blue light. Also, the gun indicators up here in the squares also have to be checked to persistent. So this gun indicator, once you collect it, you'll get this gun indicates in that the blue box. Make sure that's checked as persistent, because if you don't, then it's not going to show up in the next room, and then you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to be able to right click or nothing like that and use it. So make sure that's persistent as well. Same goes for this first gun. Make sure that's checked for persistent as well. See right there, check that as persistent. Make sure that's checked. Alright, and trying to think anything else. Okay, now with your player object, see, like when he hits the object barrel, okay, make sure it collides with the object in player as well. So whatever you did for the object player, copy this and make a collision with the same information. So that's the only thing about the object in player is since I wanted to change the ceiling and the floor color, and you don't have to do that. You could just change the wall color or texture if you wanted to, but I really wanted to show a different different corridor or different room. So you have to go the extra mile and go do the add event, do the collision with object player, and just copy everything from the object player to object in player and paste it in there. So that way you're not having no errors when it comes up in GameMaker 8.1, and it's going to work when you come in contact with that barrel. that barrels is that barrel, when you come in contact with it and you shoot it, it blows up. So make sure you whatever you do for object player, you do for the object in player as well. Same thing goes with the health. When you collect the health, make sure you copy all this information from the object player and paste it into the object in player. Same information. Copy and paste. Just hold down the shift button, copy all that, copy and paste it in there. And you know, the same thing goes for when you collect the card. Make sure whatever the object player does, copy all that information and put it into object in player. So just repeat the process. It's a lot of work, a little bit, but it's tedious work, but that you have to do it in order for, if you want something changed, then you have to backtrack, say, okay, what else do I have to change to make this work right? And like I said, when you grab, same thing with the guns. When you grab the gun, whatever you did in object player, you copy all that and put it in object in player. So you got the hint. Just pretty much copy everything from what the object player comes in contact with and paste into object in player, because now you're object in player now for the, you know, for the second room. And then, like I said, when you can make this third room, you can make another object player, but you have to make sure that you copy and paste everything that you did in object in player or object player and paste it into the next player if you wanted to change the ceiling and floor. And if you didn't want to change the ceiling and floor, you could leave it where you just have the object player only. And then you could just change the walls. You don't have to change the ceiling and floor if you don't want to. And then in this tutorial, I don't have anything that comes in contact with monsters, but you have to do the same thing with monsters. You come in contact with monsters for object player, you'll do the same thing for the object in player as well. Alright, I will put this file up there on YouTube and you can download it and open it up and mess around with this. I think I talked about everything here. The object room door is the this is talking about the second room where you're hitting your object in player now, and you hit that door and it won't open up because it's basically just a wall, but I changed it to a door that you can't open up. So when you bump up against that, direction is going to be 0, speed's going to be 0. Same thing for object in player, speed 0, direction 0. So you can't, and make sure you set the parent to object wall basic, because the object wall basic is the code that makes everything work. When you hit against the wall, it does a certain thing. And I've already talked about object against the wall, and it's just a draw event, and then actions talking about, you know, the positioning of it, how the wall is going to look on screen, and when you come in contact with what's going to happen. Alright, and I think I talked about everything here. Like I said, and the texture for the door, the next door that I created was called right here, texture underscore next room, and it's just a darker color. It looks different, and I think it's in right here to create with the object room door, and you just change the background, get texture to texture underscore next room RM, and that's talking about the new image for the door. And like I said, I've already talked about this information in previous videos, but just give you a rundown right now. Alright, thanks for watching.